Hey folks, I'm Alex Story with Skill Digital. Today is episode 34 of me building my agency in public. And what this really is, it's an accountability exercise. I'm just focusing on the things that I need to move the needle with my business. And what you get out of it, as the lucky viewer you are, is to see the behind the scenes, the good, the bad, and the ugly as I build this 5-figure plus business. Hopefully you learn from my mistakes, celebrate my wins, and learn from my fails. So that's kind of the name of the game. So those 4 questions that I mentioned that I focus on every single day are: how much money did I make? What am I doing to get more of it? What am I doing to keep it? And what am I doing to fix inside of the business? So the same 4 questions every single day, kind of rounding out revenue, sales, fulfillment, and strategy. So revenue in the last 30 days, I made $34,067. That's total revenue in the last 30 days. I don't know why this AI built slide says recurring only. It is total revenue in the last 30 days. And then my recurring revenue is at $12,889. That's what I have on retainer. That's what I'll make, minimum every month, unless, people leave me. But my goal is to get to 18K MRR by November 1st. So 2.5 months to go. So that's kind of my plan. So sales wise, quieter top of funnel, but warmer middle, 940 emails sent. That's kind of the peak at 20 emails a day for the inboxes that I have active right now. I've got, another like 20 or so warming up right now. And they'll be active soon. I think I got another week, maybe like half a week left before I can start sending from those. But 2 positive replies and 12 replies. In the middle of the funnel, I did get some activity. So 3 positive follow-ups, like where people are like, whoa, one guy even has another business. So he was a gutter company that I emailed, and he responded positively to it. He's like, oh, can you check out my roofing company too? So he's got 2 businesses. So I love these situations because, if I can get 2 accounts in one, that's awesome, right? That's doubled MRR. And typically people want to deal with one agency rather than 2 different agencies for their businesses. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Beyond that, fulfillment, this is my best day in a while. And this is, probably because of where I'm at, right? I'm on the couch today, mainly because my daughter is sleeping in our bedroom, and I don't want to be too far away from her. But I blocked the whole calendar, for Thursday, Friday, and Monday and Tuesday. So I don't have any meetings, whether it's client meetings or sales meetings on those days. So it's really just me with my laptop, hanging out with my daughter nearby. So I can get a lot more work done because I'm not being interrupted by, meetings, right? So I crushed 6 tasks today, down to just 2 left on my entire list, which is pretty nice. So and I'll probably have that second one done tomorrow morning. And then it really is just, this. I technically have 2 tasks, but I'm waiting on clients for both of them. But I just got to manage those. So that's kind of where I'm at. But all right, so let's talk about strategy, right? So yesterday I talked about that cold call agency. It was $1,700 a month for, he guessed 10, appointments being booked, which is $170 per appointment. And now today, even with my bad book rate, I just did the math, just, retroactively, and I'm at $140 per meeting booked with my current cold email sequence. And I have a lot of positive, I just don't have a lot of book rate. If I can fix my book rate, like go from like the 5% that I'm at now to the 20%, this is where I'd be at, right? So I don't think that math. So this might be 25%, right? There's something going on here. Anyway, $28 is where I would be at cost per appointment if I can get the 20% book rate. So that's kind of my goal. Is just to fix my book rate, right? Because 20% is kind of the industry average, or I should say maybe like a good industry average. But, to use one of Hermose's lines is, you don't really need to compare yourself to the average because the average person in America is trash. So like, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I shouldn't be below average if I value my skills, right? So 20% should be what I'm aiming for minimum. So if I can do that, $28 per meeting. And what this really means is I shouldn't be looking at different methods like a cold call agency to, kind of fix my appointments, when I literally could just double down on cold email and just fix the problems that I have and get a way cheaper cost of acquisition. Plus, Nick Sarayev in the Maker School community raised a good point where I'm raising, like if I do a cold call agency, I'm going to be introducing unfamiliarity to this part of the funnel where there might be objections that I'm not familiar with. There might be just a cadence to this kind of sales cycle that I'm not familiar with. Whereas, I've closed plenty of cold email clients. So I kind of know the general vibe from those folks, jumping on a call with me. So anyway, yeah, I keep on looking for a new channel to save me. If you watch like the last like 10 videos, you can see I come to these videos with a whole bunch of different newfangled sales ideas. But I really think I just need to double down on the cold email, maybe just go to Zapmail, buy another 100 inboxes, just warm those up over the next like, 2.5, 3 weeks, and then just start blasting even more emails. So, yeah, I think that's really it. So work the pipeline that I have. Beyond that, let's talk about some new offers. So I'm building out the arsenal. And this is part of the community, right? It's kind of cool how fast I've been able to do this. So 2 days ago, I had a prospect talk to me about a bilingual website, right? They're based in Las Vegas, and they have one of those toggles to go from English to Spanish. I am not a Spanish speaker. I took a decent amount of years in college of Spanish, and like I've been to Mexico several times for both work and for fun. But I'm kind of one of those Americans that just gets along with the fact that everyone knows English, and I don't really bother learning as much as I probably should. So anyway, I don't know. I'm dogging myself. The whole solution is I found somebody in Maker School that is bilingual and might help me, do some localization for these folks that need these bilingual websites. So I'm thinking I'll have to talk to this person about her costs because we could just split whatever this is. Because if I could offer like, $500 for like a website, because I think what I could honestly just do is just use AI to rewrite the website in Spanish. And then what she would do is just use markup or something just to find the spots that just don't make sense, like the things that the translation didn't get quite right. And then, we just have AI do the edit, right? So her work wouldn't be initially a lot. So if I can get her like, $250 for like less than an hour of work, I think that'd be beneficial. And then I could just add it as an add-on for my websites that I'm doing. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. I just got to talk to her what she thinks is worth her time. And then after hours AI voice. So that's kind of something that I'm super excited about. So I met with Milos. He did his intro to the Maker School community, and he talked about this AI voice agent that he did for a plumbing company that got them like $76,000 in new business in like the course of like 60 days, which is amazing. Now the problem with this is like that plumbing business is already cracked if they're able to recover that much in business. So this offer might have to be aimed at, kind of the more successful side of like home service businesses. But, we talked about a particular offer to kind of like, just dual partnership on it. And I think I'm going to introduce that to my clients. So, and by the way, Milos did some dope stuff. He like literally made a web page for me that I could put on my website that has this new offer about these AI voice agents. And he built like an email campaign for me because I have a newsletter of a lot of my current clients, previous clients that would love this new offer. Now that Skill Mammoth could potentially do it, so that's pretty dope. I'll see how that goes. The pricing, it's a little bit on the higher end for just my gut reaction to my average client spend, but if we can get like five of them, we can use those as proofs to kind of hold on to that price. But anyway, I think that's really awesome. So check out Milos. He's a cool cat. All right, AI first fulfillment. So yeah, let me talk about this. So I've been trying to, in the last week, you've probably seen me talk about upskilling my part-timer on my team versus like hiring somebody brand new to do this work. I even talked about like people doing like homework. People keep on asking me this. I just don't have time to build out homework. Like, hey man, I'd love to work for Skill Mammoth. Just give me a task or something. This part here, this third part of the solution, this is me kind of working through that, right? So for anybody who's been in my DMs or commenting about this and wants to work for Skill Mammoth, thank you for your your passion. And I want to give you a job if it makes sense for Skill Mammoth, right? So I think, but let's be honest, I'm not ready yet to kind of like do this offer just yet because I want to make sure I give you an assignment that makes sense. and I kind of know my process in a way that I can hand off to you, right? So I hope that makes sense. So basically, I I want to go automate, delegate, right? Automate as much as I can before I start delegating it. So I just got to make sure I systemize my entire process from A to Z, because I know the process, but I don't really have it like in SOP in an order, and I just need to make sure I have it systemized in a way that like someone else could understand. So I'm gonna try and build that out, all the skills and routines, all the delivery flow from clients signing on the dotted line to them getting a launch website with all the smart features that we need, all the automations, their Google Business Profile set up, their LSAs, all that kind of fun stuff. So to make sure I've got processes in place for all that, like written and skills and stuff, because AI can do most of it, and then the help that I really need is like herding the cats, and then on the front end, some of the design elements of like the actual website. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm dealing with. So, yeah, anyway, what's the single highest leverage thing you've added to your service menu that a peer community handed you? So, um, yeah, AI came up with that. Go ahead and check it out. I think, I can accelerate some stuff that I'm doing with Skill Mammoth.